Hello, Legal Shield family. This is Mike Riches coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area where we just had a phenomenal event. The Dallas convention was absolutely exceptional. I know many of you were here and I'm sure you enjoyed the event like I did. I think one of the big announcements, at least in my opinion, one of the most important announcements had to do with the compensation plan. And it really wasn't a change in the compensation structure or the structure of the plan. I mean, you still, a new person starts at associate, they have to work their way up. Manager, director, all of those are locked levels. We still have to qualify monthly for senior director or executive director. And so the structure didn't really change, but obviously how we advance and what is looked at, what's counted toward that advancement is what changed. And as you well know, we went from counting the number of sales or the number of people who are signing up to the premium dollars. So it all has to do with what they're buying, what plans they're buying, that really makes a difference as far as moving up in the compensation plan. And I've always taught with this compensation plan, the number one way to maximize this compensation plan is to qualify for executive director every month. Not just hitting it and then missing it or hitting it once in a while, but really when you qualify every month, that's when you're going to see the biggest bump, the biggest jump in your commissions. That's the biggest spread as far as the percentage that of commission that you receive. For those of you who are building a team, that's the biggest override. And again, because you get paid that executive director bonus on the following month after you qualify, that's where that consistent qualification is really just so crucial. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that today. I want to talk to you about maximizing this compensation plan with this new way of counting business, and really maybe just share a few tips on hitting executive director every month to where you really are seeing the fruits of the compensation plan itself. So let me start by saying that for group business and business solutions, I'm a huge fan of this new way of counting business. I really think that we're going to see more executive directors that are going to come out of this way of counting business versus how we did it previously. And now for some of us that are working legacy accounts, or if we're selling a plan that maybe a single plan like an identity theft only or a legal only, then in some cases we'd have to write more business than the 50 that was previously required to qualify for executive director. But I think that in the vast majority of cases, the vast majority of groups, the vast majority of associates, we're writing a lot of combo business. So we're writing plans that are legal and identity theft combined. And those plans, it now requires fewer of those plans to qualify for executive director than it did before. Let me show you just a few examples with this new way of counting business that you can qualify for executive director. So obviously we know that 50 sales was the old requirement to hit executive director, and now that requirement is $1,400 premium dollars. So this first example takes the $38.90 plan. That's the family combo plan. So a family that is getting both the identity theft and the legal plan in a group. That rate in most states is $38.90. It would take 36 of those plans to qualify for executive director. That would put you just over that $1,400 premium mark. Let's say that you were doing the large group rate on that same family combo. That large group rate is $33.90. So here's how you would figure that. If you did 42 of those plans, again, it would be just over that $1,400 mark. Boom, that would qualify you for executive director. Both of those cases, obviously 36 or 42 is less than 50. So in those cases, it would be actually easier to stay at ED by writing those plans under this new way of counting business. Here's another great one. If you take the $89 small business plan, it would take 16 of those plans in a month, not even one a day, really almost one every other day, and that would put you over $1,400 and qualify you for executive director. Here's a great one, the $149 plan. Now keep in mind, that's the Small Business Plan 100. $149 per month is what that costs. That used to give you 2 counters, so it would take 25 of those under the old way of counting business to qualify for executive director. But with this counting premium dollars, obviously that's a bigger plan that you're selling. The commission is bigger, it always has been, but that $149 plan, you only need 10 of those a month, and you're qualifying for executive director. That would put you over that $1,400 mark. So those are just a few examples of writing a particular type of business. How many of those sales would it take to get you to executive director? Let me show you one final example, which is probably more realistic. This is what most people, it's going to look like when they're hitting executive director in the business solution space. In this example, you have an associate that's kind of selling a mixture, different types of plans. They're selling 10 legal plans in a group. In most states, that rate is $23.95. And then they're selling 10 standalone identity theft family plans. That rate is $18.95. And then they sell 20 combo memberships, so the $38.90 plan. And then they do a small business 100 and a couple small business 10s. And if you add all of those premium dollars up, it comes out to just over $1,400. Again, fewer counters. If you take those same numbers, that would have equaled 43 counters under the old way of counting. But with this new way of counting memberships, you have over $1,400 premium dollars, and that person qualifies for executive director. Now, just one tip that I'll give you. I'm a big fan of selling what the prospect needs and not overselling the plan. I'm a big fan of retention. I'm a big fan of having high retention so that my residual income is higher. And of course, you know, bonuses and everything rely on retention. So again, I'd be real careful about selling someone if all they can afford is just a legal plan or just an identity theft plan. I would be real careful not to oversell someone. Just to have them turn around and cancel the membership a couple months later or a few months later really does not do you very much good at all. Remember that under this new way of counting premium dollars, we get credit for upgrades. So it actually, with this new way of counting business, it makes a little bit more sense to sell someone just a legal plan today if that's all that they can afford. And maybe in 6 months from now, when I come back and I reservice the group, they might choose to upgrade at that time to the identity theft. And again, under the old system, I would have not gotten credit for that upgrade as far as the counter was concerned. But with this new way of counting business, you get credit for upgrades. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world with this particular way of counting business that we really sell what the prospect needs and what the prospect can afford. And again, in the future, if they want to upgrade business, then that possibility is there, and you'll get full credit for that in the future as well. I just want to close by sharing just a few tips with you on qualifying again for executive director every month consistently. Hopefully understanding some of the ways that we count under this new system will help, right? To kind of have a game plan of what you're really shooting for month in and month out. I really believe that the biggest thing, the biggest key to qualifying every month for executive director is just having the right mindset. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's true. People who qualify every month for executive director, they expect to qualify every month for executive director. And you might think, well, of course they expect that because they're qualifying. But it's the other way around. They expected it, and that's when they started qualifying every month. The reality is you just need to stop accepting anything else, anything lower than $1,400 premium dollars a month. Nothing else is going to work. Nothing else is acceptable. And once that mindset is there, and we put an end to any other possibility, then all of a sudden doors open up and things happen. And I've just seen it over and over and over again. If we're hoping to hit executive director, it may or may not happen. But when we expect to hit executive director, if that's a full-on expectation, there's just such power in that. I want you to think about, in your business, if you were to fast forward 12 months from today, and if I were to tell you 12 months from today that over the last year you qualified 11 out of 12 months for executive director, how would you feel about that? And the reality is, I think a lot of people would think that's pretty good. They would feel pretty good about qualifying 11 out of 12 months. But if you fully expect to hit executive director every month, you would not feel good about 11 out of 12. You would. The only question is, why in the world did I not qualify 12 out of 12? So I'm just talking about a different way of thinking, a different mindset, and again, a different level of expectation. Another tip I'll give you for qualifying for executive director every month, and this is something I learned a long time ago, is you can, in most groups, you have the option of making the business, the memberships, effective the first of the following month. It's actually, most of the time, that's easier for those who are doing a payroll deduction. It's a little bit easier to administer the plans when they're effective the first of the following month. But it's huge for hitting executive director. If you can make those plans effective the first of the following month, I'm telling you, it's big, because you can choose which month they process in. If it's the 15th today, and I write a bunch of sales and they're all effective today, I really can't hold any of those until the first of the following month. It's just not fair to those members. It's just not the right thing to do. It's unethical to hold that business that long. But if that business is not effective until the first of the following month, if I get to the end of this month and I know that I need 500 more premium dollars to qualify for executive director, I can send that amount of business in. And if I send it in this month, if I submit it through Legal Shield at work, or if I upload those applications this month, then it's going to count towards this month's business. And then as soon as it's the first of the next month, that first day, I can upload the remaining sales. And what it allows you to do is sandbag some memberships into the following month in an ethical way when that business is effective the first of the following month. Now, frankly, I didn't do that when I first got started. I didn't really know to do that. And I was so hungry at that point. I needed the money like right now today. So I usually tried to push to have that business be effective immediately. But once I understood the power of being able to control which month the business process is in, I really am a big fan of making that business effective the first of the following month. Now, obviously, you can't do that with electronic groups. I mean, there are some stipulations and some areas where that works and where it doesn't. But with a paper group and the group's okay making it effective the first of the following month, I usually try to do that. My final tip is to create a plan for how many employees you need to get in front of every month. Now, you need to know a couple numbers here. You need to know what your closing percentage is in a group on average. So if my closing percentage, for example, is 60%, that means that if I meet with 10 employees, on average, I'm going to sign 6 of them up. The second number that you kind of need to know here is what the average dollar amount of the plans that you're selling. So if I sell quite a few combos and I sell some, just single identity theft plans or legal plans, maybe my average dollar amount would come out to about $30. So I might have some $38.90s, but some $23.95, some $18.95s, but on average, I'm writing a $30 membership on average. If I know those two numbers, then all I have to do is a little bit of math, and I know how many employees I need to get in front of in order to qualify for executive director. With those two numbers, if I take $30 as an average premium and 60% enrollment, then you can look at the example here. If I get in front of 80 employees, 48 of those employees would sign up. That's 60% of 80. And if they're, again, the average dollar amount's $30, then that's over $1,400 in premium. That's what I need for executive director. Now, I'm also a big fan of aiming higher than the bare minimum, because sometimes if you aim for a certain number and you fall a little bit short, with executive director, it can make a huge difference. So if I know that 80 is how many I really need to get in front of, maybe I'll shoot for 100. And then, again, maybe not quite as many employees show up for an enrollment as I was expecting, and that's not gonna hurt me too bad because I shot a little bit higher than I really needed to. So I hope that that's helpful. Again, I really want to encourage you to set a goal, get determined and committed, that you're going to qualify for executive director every month. Don't accept anything else as an alternate, and really have that expectation. Plan for it and use these enhancements to the way that we count business under this compensation plan as a way to help you get there. I wish you the very best.